In the first tutorial, we went over how to generate terrain using TerraGen and apply it to the terrain in Unity with multiple terrain objects. In the second tutorial, I went over texturing, placing trees and grass, and some of the terrain settings. In this one, I'm going to go over Skybox and lighting for the terrain to make it look really badass. Anyways, so here we go. Very simple. This is Unity 5, so it has a little bit different of a setup. I recommend getting Unity 5. If you do not have Unity 5, I will try to talk about the equivalent. In Unity 5, you go to Window and then Lighting. And go ahead and just plug this up somewhere. And then in Unity 4, you go to Edit, and then it's not in here anymore, but there's a thing that's called Render Settings. Or render or something like that, and you click on that, and that's going to open up a little thing. It's not as detailed as this one, but it's got the Skybox slots, and it should be pretty self-explanatory for that one. But yeah, for this one, I'm just gonna do the Unity 5. So we need skyboxes. Unity has some skyboxes. They're not that great. I have some. They're also not like the best, but they're better. So I'm going to go to the Unity Asset Store and get those. This is a pack from, I do not remember. I will let you know as soon as I find it, which should be under like textures and materials, I think. Yep, All Sky. It's by RPG Whitelock. If you like his stuff, please go and grab it. All Sky's got some pretty awesome skyboxes. I've already downloaded it, so I'm going to go ahead and import it. His skybox, he already has the skyboxes. They're built for mobile, so you need to go ahead and increase the resolution size, which I will be doing for a PC or console game. But mobile games are more popular, so I'm glad to see that developers and people who are supplying assets are building that out so that it is ready to use for the most popular platforms. I do not personally mind changing the resolution myself from the mobile. Okay, so I have now imported the All Sky pack. I think I realized that my mouse cursor and mouse click effects weren't in there, so I went ahead and added that. And I'm not sure if it's going to show since I did it halfway through the video, but hopefully it does. Let's see here. Okay, so let's apply some of these skyboxes, but first we need to edit them. So I'm going to go to All Sky, and then he's got like all these options. I really like the fantasy options. They're really, really cool. I'm not going to use that for this since it's supposed to be a more realistic game, but we're going to go ahead, we're going to go for maybe like a sunset. We do not want to do twilight, but we're going to go ahead and do sunset, give it a little bit of edge here, and let's see, that one's pretty cool. That one's alright. Looks like it's getting... Oh, that one's nice. I like that one. Let's go with that one. We'll go with this one right here. So to edit this, I'm going to go ahead and select all... I'm going to go ahead and shift-click through all of the textures here. And in the inspector, I'm going to change these to a 2048. And we're going to go to RGBA 32-bit. I'm going to hit Apply. I'm also going to make the filter mode trilinear. Yes, we want clamp. And actually, I'm going to go to Texture, Clamp, Trilinear, True Color, perfect. Hit Apply. All of these are now large. This right here is the actual skybox. I'm going to make this a normal 6-sided skybox. And I believe that should be it. So we go to the scene here, go back to lighting, and we go ahead and drag and drop this into the... Actually, now the cool thing about Unity 5, I don't remember if this did it in Unity 4, but you can just drag it into the scene and it applies it. So there is the new skybox, or sky sphere, or however you want to look at it. You also have ambient lighting that actually uses the texture to put ambient lighting onto all the objects. I'm going to ramp that up a little bit. We don't want it too much. I'm also going to take my directional light, and I'm going to have it, which it already pretty much is, face in the same direction as the sun is from the skybox. Now, of course, there's really awesome shaders that you can build. Atmospheric scattering that will have a sun for you, and you can go ahead and build out clouds and stuff yourself, but then you wouldn't have to worry about really any of this. This is more for like a completely static and set scene. So there's the lighting for the skybox. I mean, you can always use your ambient sources. You can change them to straight up color, a gradient, or the skybox texture. You also have the sun, which you can go ahead and drag in here, the directional light. And I guess it didn't really apply it. Now there's a skybox already in here, so you don't have to really worry about it. Just put it back to none. The reflection, I'm going to go ahead and make it freaking epic resolution because I want my computer to crash. Compression, we're going to go uncompressed. Reflection intensity, well, it's terrain. It doesn't need to be like stupid ridiculous. But as you can see, like you can see that there's that reflection that's changing on the terrain. Reflection bounces, yeah, let's keep that like 1. We're not making a render in Maya. We're trying to build a scene you can actually play a game in. To test this out, you can always go to game and go to stats and see how many draw calls you have. Right now I have 1,652, which is pretty ridiculous. If I hit play, I mean, even on the PC, you're looking at, you want to keep it like 2,000 or less. Let's see if we can reduce that real quick, because that is ridiculous. Let's move the camera out here. You'd actually kind of want it to, like, if you set the camera out to see the entire terrain, you would want it to have lower draw calls. Go to stats here. Like right now, we're looking at only 146. That's probably because it reduces the. Well, I know what's going on. It's drawing all of these details here. The grass. That is something that should be fixed for sure. It should be combining those in some way. Wow, that's insane. See if we can go to the terrain object here and see if we can reduce it. So, as part of this tutorial, I am adding in how to reduce draw calls. So if I get rid of this grass, it obviously dropped down. The grass doesn't seem to be a big issue. I'm guessing it's the trees. Let's reduce the max amount of 3D meshes. That didn't change anything. Fade length. I've actually had it before where the light itself made extra draw calls, which was weird. Obviously that is not the case. Wow, there is something. Let's see, trees. It is the trees! I stopped drawing trees pretty much, and the draw calls went back down to 273, which is a lot better. So we need to reduce the billboard distance, fade length, max mesh trees, tree distance. Wow, these trees are ridiculous. Well, the tries went to 1.2 million. Without trees, it's only 250,000, which seems about right because of the terrain. These trees, my god, these trees should be instanced. They should not be making this many draw calls. I am curious. The terrain is static. We can go to the build settings and we can change this to, let's get rid of dynamic batching. Wow, look at that. The difference. Let's keep dynamic batching. Static batching doesn't seem to be doing anything. I wonder if we can go into the standard assets, environment, speed tree, broadleaf. Broadleaf. No. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to change that. This is one of those things. You really want to reduce the draw calls because 2,000 is a lot. And for some weird reason, it is not changing. These values are not changing. Oh, that's really annoying. Typically these trees, I mean, I've never had a problem with it before, will stop drawing at a certain distance or they will actually billboard. But in this instance, they are not changing at all, which is very, very annoying. It's probably just the type of trees I chose. That will be something that will have to be reduced later as it is not working. I wonder if it had something to do with the tree setting I had. Edit this tree. Nope. Lock width to height, random tree rotation. Lovely. We will fix that at a future time. Anyways, back to lighting. And we have other settings here. You can add in fog, which is nice. Fog will increase your draw calls. Sort of. No, actually, I guess it doesn't. I like to do a black fog, actually, and then what I do is reduce the distance. And what that does is it creates that like black fade in the background. It doesn't have to be quite black, but it gives you that fade that you kind of want for distance. So in the game you get like darkness towards the distance. So like if let's get a good view here in the trees. I mean, it's quite possible I just have way too many trees in here right now. See if we can get this to move here. So now we go back to game, and you should be getting, I guess this is really, you start to see some of the darkness in the distance. I personally think it looks better that way. Alright, not too shabby. That's a pretty good start. Getting terrain finished. At least one tile. Even though the draw calls are ridiculous, you can kind of see there's a little bit of lag. Yeah, trees, man, trees. Okay, so I was able to reduce the draw calls. It had to do with the LOD of the trees. I just ended up decreasing the LOD and increasing the billboard percentage, and then hitting apply prefab. So I will do this on the second tree and show you in case this ever happens to you, but you can go to standard assets, environment, speed tree, conifer I believe is the one I haven't done. Click on the actual object. This is one of the trees that I had imported here. I'm going to reduce the LOD 0, LOD 1, and increase the billboard here. You can just click on it and drag it around like this. Come on, grab it. Sometimes it's a little quirky here. Come on. There we go. Trying to get this to about 60% or so. Sweet. Hit apply prefab. You will see the trees are changing to billboards from a closer distance, and now my batches have been dropped to 352. Obviously you don't want your trees to billboard a lot, but this actually might not be bad. Might be worse for a flying animal than the rabbits or the wolves, because there's a lot of trees in here. But I've already reduced the patches, the draw calls, from like over 3,000 to 350. I'm not sure if this is going to work or not, but I'm going to try. You can see the billboard distance. Yeah, it's still not really changing. Apparently this is being overridden by the actual trees themselves, which kind of sucks because it's nice to have control over it in one spot. But we can always change this by decreasing the billboard until you get a little bit more distance on the 3D trees. Let's go like 40%. And then we're going to do the same thing with the other tree, the broadleaf tree. Let's go to 40 or so, and then go ahead and spread these out so that they're even. If I can ever grab LOD2, ugh, come on. There we go. They should really have like a way to change these on a different tab. There we go. I'm going to hit apply. Now I get some more 3D trees, and let's see what our draw calls are. Still really low, 392. The billboard was just way too small. In fact, I'm gonna make it smaller. It's okay to have some draw calls in here, but we want to kind of get that better. 530, that's a good start. Anyways, now we have billboarded trees. That's fixed, less draw calls, like no lag practically anymore. Yeah. When I build a terrain generator, it actually, the billboarding works. The tree distance works too. I'm not really sure why speed tree is being such a headache, but it is. And there you go. So now we have lighting, trees, yeah, so lighting is in there, the skybox is in there, and we've reduced the draw calls. You can obviously change even more of it. Sometimes I like to drag the game window down here so I can see actual changes. This will increase draw calls, but you can go ahead and go to game object and then go, or sorry, assets, import, and effects. These should be in here. Again, when you import the project from source tree, you'll have all these. But in case something happens, you can re-import them, just like this. I also have shaders that I will be implementing in here that change like the contrast of the game to any style we want. Anyways, you can go to the camera, go to add component, and image effects. I always like to put in camera vignette. I think the vignette just gives it a little bit of edge on, and blur the corners a little bit. And we can also add another image effect. Go to color adjustments and do color correction, ramp? No. Sometimes I forget which ones I'm using. I'm going to do color adjustments, contrast stretch, adaptation speed. This one's like really quirky in the way it works. Sometimes you have to hit reset to kind of get what you want out of it. Not really doing what I want it to do. You can use fog on here instead. Sometimes it's a little better than just the world fog. Edge detection. New tone mapping. Photographic, adaptive rain hard. Square it by 64. But this should, yeah. Sometimes it give it a little bit more exposure. Hit play. And there we are. Makes it look a little bit brighter, even when the sun is setting. And go ahead and align this with the view. And so now you're getting a little bit more of what you want your game to look like. And the draw calls are 881, which is freakishly high still, but we'll be reducing that. And that could be just simply reducing the amount of grass, reducing the amount of trees, but we kind of want like a forested area, so. And there you go. So that's a little bit of more of an extension on the terrain tutorials. Not too complicated. Skybox, lighting, fog, and fixing the amount of draw calls you have, so it's a little bit faster. Another thing though I have here is I have my draw distance is kind of high right now. Let's go to 0.1, and yeah, that look. No, I don't think it did. I was thinking maybe it cut it in half, but I think when you hit play, yeah, no, it reduced it by about 300, reducing the draw distance. All right then. If you have any questions on any of that, please let me know. I don't have any other tutorials in mind yet as far as building the world, but if you have anything in mind that you want to know, please let me know and I will do a tutorial on it.